What's going on, everybody? Good evening. It is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. It's Proper Royals Live. My name's Adam. Thanks for being here. I got Mike Johnson from Herp Collectors on the show tonight. If you don't know Mike, he is a fellow ball python breeder. He's a fellow ball python. I don't know. So we got to talk about even what the word podcasts mean. I don't know. I got everybody has different opinions on what it means. I was sort of considered this like a live show, and then everybody's like, "You mean like a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." So fellow podcaster, and full transparency, Mike has become a good friend. We started at a pretty similar time. We were in a similar area regionally, geographically. And we've crossed paths many times in a very good ways. And I've always appreciated hanging out with Mike. And I look forward to tonight. I couldn't believe it. Mike's been on the show before, but it has been, almost 2 years, 21 months. He was on in April of 2022. We were just talking backstage. It's crazy how time goes by. And in some ways, 2 years seems like forever. And another way, man, I wouldn't have thought it was 2 years since he was on. So we got a lot of catching up to do. We have hung out in the meantime. It's not been 2 years since we've seen each other. But as far as talking business, talking show, hanging out for an hour and a half straight, we haven't done that in 2 years. So I'm looking forward to tonight. Stick around. If you haven't seen Mike's podcast, make sure that you check it out. It's called Herp Collectors. And, of course, the link is down below in the description. I was going to say announcements. These aren't really announcements. Like this is what a rough week. We lost Brian this week. Barchek, of course, everybody knows. Full disclosure and my apologies. I truly had thought that Brian had already passed. I'd seen all the tributes and sort of grieving through the community, and I actually, like I said, I thought Brian had passed. I lost my mother to cancer and went through her hospice care, and I was her provider. And I have to say that it's still pretty raw. So I've kept a little bit of distance from the videos and that stuff. But what a contributor to our community, and probably the most influential, grower, spreader of our hobby and our industry. So rest well, Brian, and blessings to his family. We also lost Tiffany she's the wife of Stan at Sea of Serpents. Stan and Tiffany, I was vending a show in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was not my very first show, but it may very well have been my very first Repticon in Jacksonville. It was an early show that I was vending, or in my vending experience. And they came up to the table and they said, "Holy cow, you're vending." And I had no idea who these folks were. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm trying. I'm giving it what I got." And they introduced themselves, and I said, "Oh, you see your serpents," because you see all these different Instagram handles, and you don't know the people's names and the faces, and then you meet them in person, and you don't really know. It's different worlds colliding. You don't know who the people are, and they were just so genuinely excited to see me vending. They'd been watching my show and the channel, and just great support. And we became closer friends. I won't say that we became very close, but we always saw each other at Daytona. They were always at the North Florida and Central Florida shows. And they became really good friends with some very close friends of mine. So it was just a close community. And I didn't expect that news either. So blessings to Stan and his family. Thanks for those memories. Check out Chris Eaton's show, Snakes and the Fat Man. He had Desiree on from Cold Blooded Cafe. She and Cold Blooded Cafe have been a longtime supporter, and they still are. They don't sponsor this very show anymore, but I do a lot of sponsorship work with them and social media work with them, and I'm incredibly grateful. And I thought it was a cool episode, so go check that out. The other cool thing, I was really impressed. Chris has chosen 4 charities that he is going to raise money and donate for this year, and one each quarter. And the first one is, I believe it's called My Hero. But it is a veterans benefit reach out charity. and they sell a variety of bracelets, the parachute cords, and that kind of thing. But more important than what they sell is what they do with the money. They work to help veterans to work to ensure to help. It's hard to say, but just reduce veteran suicide. It's horrible. What the numbers and the stats that we see when it comes to that sort of thing. And the different things that you could buy contribute to different things. So I picked one up yesterday. I'm not a bracelet guy. I'm not going to pretend to be, but I'm going to do something special with that bracelet. But I picked one up that will help a service person get a companion dog or an aid dog to go to help them. So anyway, I thought it was real cool. I thought it was a classy move by Chris. So those two things together make for a pretty good episode. So go check out that episode. That's on there on Snakes and the Fat Man. Some of the other charities. He'll be working with St. Jude's Children's Hospital as well, and I believe Susan Jacoman. He did bring up the differentiating point on the charities that he's working with is that all of the money goes to the cause, not the administrative fees or wonder where the money goes. It all goes to the cause. So how cool. I got in on the Project Redline thing, a little bit of a funny story. If you haven't seen this, Project Redline shipping, Robin's been a great supporter, and I'm thankful and happy to participate in this. This will be fun. The sling bags that are real hip these days, hipper than I am, but they're like the modern age fanny pack, but they're not around the waist, but they got these cool panels, and you can put patches on them, and you can kind of collect these things, and you can represent your people or your team or whatever you want. Well, you're going to be able to represent Proper Royals. I will have the PVC patches at Tinley with me. So swing by the booth. We'll figure it out. I don't know if I'm going to charge for them. If I do, what do I charge? $1.50 or something? I don't know. Come by and get a patch. If I charge you $1.50, pay it. If you buy something, it'll definitely be free, but maybe I'll just give them out. Who knows? Funny story with it, though, is my first experience with ordering directly from a factory in China. And I don't know what happened. Something got lost in translation somewhere, but I ended up at a different PVC patch factory, and I definitely sent them money. So we're going to see if I even get patches. If I don't, I'll have a story about how I got swindled by the Chinese factory for my patches. This is why I don't deal in swag, okay? This is why all that ask me all the time. Check out the LinkTree, my link down below, Proper Royals. It's LinkTree, linktr.ee/Proper Royals. You can find my Morph Market, my Patreon information, my Instagram. You can find Venmo. If you just wake up and the spirit moves you to send some money, you can do that. I'm joking mostly. You can, but I'm joking. But if we ever wanted to pay anything or work any deals out or whatever it is, that Venmo is there. And my direct email is there as well. So check that out. Linktree is right down below in the description. And as a personal fun note, I can't believe it. I've waited too long. I admit I was wrong. I'm having a blast with these rodents. These ASFs they're fun to breed. I'm having a good time. Sorry, there's 63 comments I just noticed. I've been trying to engage the camera. I'll say hello to everybody here in a minute. We're not going to go through everybody, of course, but I'll mentally catch up on the comments here in a minute. These rodents are fun, man. The ASFs, they're making babies. They're having a good time. I got the whole process sorted out. I got my systems in place. I got my different days I do different things programmed into my phone. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I even had my first flood, and I got there in time. No gruesome ending. A wet ASF is about the most pitiful thing I've ever seen. So there I was drying a little soaked ASF. They made it. They're good. Life is good in the ASF shack. My son called it the rat shack. I'm like, not bad. I don't know if they're rats, but not bad. I think that's what I got for announcements. No shows coming up until February. It's a quiet month. It's cold. Oh my gosh, it's cold. For all the El Nino talk I had about a temperate winter, it is. It's cold. I've just been hunkering down. Temps are hanging, and life is good. So let's get yeah, Chris says rodents are fun. Who the hell are you, Adam? Yeah, I know. Maybe I just needed something different or something new in my life. I don't know. Maybe that's how depressed winter got me. I don't know. Mike from Herp Collectors. I met Mike. Well, it was 2 years ago. I met him just before he came on the show. I don't know that we met in person before he was on the show, but I reached out to him. I wanted him to come on the show. I had a new, again, for lack of a better word, a new podcast I had just started. I was looking for guests, and Mike was in my area, and I love, we're going to talk some about it, but I loved his branding. I love how clean it is. To this day, I still work to get my thumbnails as clean as his are. I have a problem with brevity. I just run my yapper, and that's probably why I feel like I need a 90-minute show once a week to just talk into the abyss. With an audience that you all stick around. So that's fantastic. I'm thankful for that. So, well, we found we had a lot in common. We both went to the University of Florida, and we both have snakes, and he's a good dude. I think he's incredibly insightful. I went back and watched that episode from 2 years ago, and I was amazed at how much knowledge was packed into that episode. I was feeling inspired after I watched it. So please welcome back, I think only for the second time, although maybe he's been on once more, and I've been on his show at least once, but please welcome back to the Proper Royals stage. That's Mike Johnson from Herp Collectors. What's going on, Mike?
Bro? What's up? How's it going?
It is good, man. I'm glad to have you back on the show. We can't go 2 years, man. Like we're going to talk about booking and the challenges. Like I can't have the booking challenges and a 2-year window. Like you get one or the other, not both though, right?
yeah. We definitely got to do it more often. Yeah, I was surprised to learn. I mean, I thought about it early. I was like, yeah, it was like right when I first started the podcast when I went on Adam's show, and that has been like almost 2 years ago. So yeah, it's crazy how time flies.
It is. And I don't know about you, but I remember when I was first starting out, like thinking to myself, man, 2 years, that's going to be forever until a female grows up, or that's going to be forever until I can pair these things or whatever. And now that the 2 years has passed, it's like there's a maturity that comes with the industry and with the hobby. And I'm like, it's still not tomorrow, but I'm going to be doing it. So may as well put that one in the rack and hold it back so that I have it one day. You know, it's a little different for me on how the timing feels, you know?
Yeah, it's totally different now. Like I remember kind of like starting out, and everything that I was really super excited to breed, everything was a hatchling. And so it just felt like forever. But once you start getting in the groove and like going through like all the different ups and downs and stuff like that, you look around and you're like, dang, she's big, she's ready to breed now. Do I have a male for her? Like it's just
I've been, knock on wood or whatever Formica I'm sitting at here. I've been lucky that, like, I think if we do it right, and I've been lucky, not smart or insightful, just lucky so far. But every year I'm just excited. I look at the pairings and I'm like, dang, I'm killing it compared to what I was doing. And like, I think that's if that isn't there, like that feeling, you gotta fix something if that feeling isn't there, you know? And so I've been lucky with that. And I look at my yearling holdbacks over there. I'm like, oh yeah, let this this winter get here, man. I'm like, dude, did you look at beyond this season right now, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like last season, I was looking forward to this season. This season, I'm looking forward to next season, and that's how it should always be.
Yeah,
always looking ahead a few years in the future.
Well, it's that balance of trying to enjoy the moment and staying excited and passionate about the future, because that's what's going to get you there. Because let's be honest, man, there's some days where cleaning poo, you're just like, man, I've had about enough of this, you know. And then you think about all the good stuff coming up, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. So what you excited about this season?
Well, I got to be honest with you, and it's funny that you just said that. I just saw Creative Genetics Keith checked in the audience there. He might have said something earlier, but it was the first one I saw. But Keith sent me a stud that is a clown VPIA Xanthic, and
oh, nice.
Yeah, that boy's gonna see some action, man. I'm pretty excited about that. He swooped in right at the end and he said, well, I got this male, maybe we could do something. And I was like, it was a funny story because I didn't realize it was a double visual. I thought it was a visual and a head or vice versa or something, you know, like, not to be mean, but like everybody wants to do we should pair this, we could partner this. And I'm like, I don't want your snakes in my room in a nice way. It's cool, but no thanks. And so I had like my nice speech and it's not about the person. It's about, I got my own vision and I got a plan. I don't need everybody else's stud and partners. I got a plan. And I said something like, I might just buy the $400 male. And he's like, $400? Where are you going to get a clown axanthic for that? And I was like, oh, it's double visual. He's like, yeah. It's like, can I take back everything I just explained to you about why this ain't going to work?
So what you got planned for that guy? That's a nice male to have in the rotation.
Yes, I got a fair number of clowns he's going to go to with some codoms and our het clowns with codoms that are big girls. But I have one in particular that's a double het with codom. She's a pinstripe lesser, maybe a pinstripe lesser pastel clown. Not all that exciting, but actually lesser and pastel and axanthic are going to be just fine for me. And she's double het. So that's kind of the big one, but we're going to put that male to a hypo that's got a bunch of codoms in it, fire enchi, leopard, female hypo, also just a plain hypo, get some triple hets. So
nice.
Yeah. So I got a lot of fun going on with that. My acid male that I've been trying to get locked for a year and a half, he finally locked like last week. I was like, get in there, boy. That guy owes me some back rent, man. He better do some work too this year. So what about you, man? And we skipped right over an introduction, but I got to tell everybody, we kind of did the introduction. We did the how'd you get into reptiles on 2 years ago. That episode's still there. So, but what do you got in your collection that you're excited about and that you would want to let people know about?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the acid male, and I don't know how you feel about it, but to me, acid confusion, same thing.
Yeah, I completely. Let's not even open that door. Yes, they're the same. Let's go. Yeah.
And so I've got a male. He actually did well for me in terms of like locking up with girls and stuff last season, but I was really expecting to get some nice confusion clown combos. He was a leopard spot nose confusion het clown male.
Ooh,
and
nice.
So I was really looking forward to like making some really cool stuff with him this past year. He locked up with about 5 girls. So 2 of the girls, one girl never really got started. The other girl, she reabsorbed. And then like he had some clutches and 2 shots of opportunities to hit confusion clown combos, never hit a single one. Never hit a single one. One clutch was all males, just not a.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, there was no confusion babies in that whole clutch at all. Then I hit another one that was like males and females, but no confusion clown combos. I did hit another leopard spot nose confusion het clown male.
Okay, so you do know that now. So you know that he was the dad, though.
Yeah, for sure. Know that he was the dad. I've got another one in the incubator, 9 eggs, and that's but it's only 7 opportunities from what it's looking like because 2 of the eggs are looking like they're going bad. And so like I got that guy back in the rotation this year. Hopefully I get some confusion clown combos because man, it has been like just evading me. I don't know why, but it's been evading me for whatever reason.
I get it, man. I do hope you hit it. I'm getting a little bit of an echo, Mike. I'm not sure if your speakers or your mic is one of them seems hot. I'm not sure which, but man, that like I just buy a few snakes a year that I really am after that I want to keep. Now, sometimes I'll buy them as part of a collection because the math works better and I can make the money and basically get the animal for free. But that one I bought outright. I bought it from Dale, and at the time it wasn't the most expensive snake I've ever bought, but it was an expensive snake, man. And I mean, a year and a half ago on an acid, and it was a POS het clown. It proved het clown testing. I've been dreaming about acid clowns for a year and a half, man. I need to. I get it, man. I'm with you. I get what you're saying, man.
Yeah, man. Hopefully that guy can produce me some confusion clown combos. Like I need it.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. I don't know. Do you want to get into podcasts, or you want to keep talking snakes for a minute, man?
Man, it's your show. We can talk about either or. I can talk either one.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of excited to have another podcast host. Like maybe, I'll let you do some of the work tonight. You could just like
And for this next segment,
Mike's like, I did show prep. It's your logo on it. You figure it out, pal. That's what you're gonna do. Well, actually, though, what are some of your favorite pickups from this year? What'd you get if you had 2 or 3 that were just really what you were after and excited for?
as far as things that I bought this year,
Yeah.
I didn't buy a ton of snakes, relatively speaking, this past year. I got an ultra male clown male though, that
Woo.
looking forward to him getting in the rotation this year. I would say that was a big one. I got a Cypress leopard clown male too from Justin from Armless Angels. I really
Okay.
need Cypress spread through a lot of my stuff, and like this male produces like some crazy babies. I don't know if you saw like that Cypress Pompeii that Justin hit, and then he's got like a
Yeah.
Cypress red stripe Batman. That's crazy. That male throws some really, really good looking Cypress combos. And so like I was fortunate enough to get that male. And so I'm gonna run him to a few things this year. And then let me see, what else did I get this past year? I got a breeder ready GHI red stripe yellow belly het clown female.
Okay.
I got her in the summer, and the very first time I threw the ultrasound to her, she was at like 15 millimeters. And so like I was,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, get going, man.
and I didn't know if she was coming or going, you know what I mean? Because it was the first time. And so I was like,
Yeah.
well, next
Yeah.
time I ultrasound her, if she's built, then I'm gonna throw the male in there. And lo and behold, she was building. So male in the tub. And so I've got her clutch in the incubator right now. That was a
Good.
really good pickup because I wasn't counting on her to produce for this year. And so that was
That's a
another
nice
pickup
bonus.
that
Yeah.
I was excited for. What else? I got a double head hypo clown, but it's chocolate Huffman leopard double head hypo clown breeder ready female. I'm gonna throw her to my vanilla dark knight head hypo male. So I'll have shots at like hypo dark knights. I'll have shots at hypo chocolate Batmans. I'll have shots at super chocolate hypo clowns, and then vanilla Huffman. All that's in the mix. And so like really looking forward to that pair. And so though I didn't pick up a ton, like I said, relative to like the years before, but the animals that I did pick up, like it was like animals that I need that can get my projects like to that next level.
Right. And that's a great way to put it. And that's really what I was after. I know that you've had a couple years of hatchlings and holdbacks, and it's I don't know about you. For me, it's kind of nice knowing that I have those growing up and coming through. But then I try and pick 2, 3, 4 genes where I'm like, all right, I got to get some more, keep something exciting new coming into it each year too. So, well, that's cool, man. I wish. What's that?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. I thought maybe I thought I heard something. So tell everybody about your podcast. What do you got going on your podcast? And by the way, congratulations and good for you for keeping it going. It's no small feat to be, you got to be coming right up on 2 years of going after it. And I mean, we could just be the dummies that keep doing something, even though it doesn't work. But I don't believe that for 1 second, mostly because we're both here and I'm a part of that equation. But I know that's not the case for you. So, but seriously, tell people about your podcast, and I want to talk a little bit about it tonight, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so podcast, for those who don't know, it's called Clutch Conversations, and so it comes on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Most weeks, every now and then, we'll have like a little scheduling snafu or something like that where we have to adjust. But 99.9% of the time, Thursdays 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Clutch Conversations. Started it to your point. We started the podcast almost 2 years ago. So next month, about mid-February, it'll be about 2 years. We just had episode 100 last week, and so like now we're in the triple digits. So that was a huge milestone. And so just to be around for that long, it's really a grind, as you know, because it's easy to get it started, but keeping it going is kind of the harder part. And I say it's easy to get it started, but really I had kind of like a mental hurdle that I had to get over whenever I was getting ready to start, because I mean, 2 years ago, we're still new in the hobby. By my own calculations, we're still new. We've been doing it since 2020, so we're going into year 4 now, but still relatively new in the hobby. I mean, folks have 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of experience. And so I was in my head a lot about even starting a podcast at the time, right? Because we were new, like I said. And so I was like, no one's going to want to listen to me. Why should I have a podcast? I'm new, blah, 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 blah. So I got in my head a lot about the whole podcast. But then I finally said, you know what? I'm going to do it, going to get it started. Really, when we started the podcast, we really kind of had 3 goals, right? So knowledge, relationships, and fun. So picking the brains of other people who had way more knowledge and experience than I did, and even people who were on the same level. Because I mean, I'm one of those people who firmly believe that you can learn a lot from everybody, regardless of how much experience they had. And so it was a platform for people to talk about their experience, talk about knowledge they've gained. And so hopefully, selfishly myself, but also the listeners, can learn a lot from the folks who are on there, right? And so relationships is another big part of that, right? So we were nobody in the hobby, right? No one knew who the heck we were. And so this was a way to get our name out there and start building relationships. Like, I feel like a lot of the relationships that we've been able to cultivate over the last couple of years have been because we took the plunge into the podcast world and we put our name out there, and then you start being recognized by people who you don't even know listen to your podcast, which was really kind of like a weird dynamic.
Isn't it weird, man?
Like, hey, you're Mike. I know, but how do you know I'm Mike?
Right, yeah.
And then it was fun, right? And it was just about having fun. And so, like, with those kind of 3 goals in mind, we started the podcast.
Nice. And I should have said, and I understand why you didn't say you're pretty hardworking, humble guy like myself, I think. But you have an MBA from the University of Florida, and so everybody listening, like, this is like, for me, a lot of stuff is off the cuff, but I have a business background, and I kind of apply that or I discuss where I'm applying that. Mike's MBA background, I think, is priceless, and you're exactly right about. For me, at the podcast, my show was as much about surrounding myself with people that I could learn from. I didn't know a local mentor. I didn't really want to go through the process of sort of whatever the traditional student, artisan, master, apprentice. I didn't want to go through all of that. And I didn't necessarily think it was necessary. I also didn't take it. I never knew that it would lead to where we're sitting right here, right now, today, like in a whole room outfitted in my house specifically for this stuff. That was never my thought at the time. Holy cow, right? But I knew if I could surround myself with people smarter than me, I could learn from them. And I had found that in music. I always signed up and auditioned for tougher band spots than I ever deserved. And the fact was, they would, in a high school band, they'll take anybody that wants to play guitar, because no guitarist wants to play in the high school band. So I got to play with the best musicians because the jazz band needed a guitarist. Okay, here we go. And I learned a lot. So I thought it was really great. And in watching back that show that we did, I keep saying 2 years, nearly 2 years ago, you use an expression, conversational value is what you called it. You said, man, there's so much value in having conversations with people, not barking on a social media platform, not comment section, not memes, having a conversation with people, man. And I thought it was really cool. I thought you hit the nail on the head. And that really was one of the big reasons I jumped in and I wanted to start this as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's just, there is a ton. I don't even remember all the things that I said in the episode. I got to go back and watch it, though, for real. I meant to do it before this episode, but I got so busy. I definitely want to go back and look and listen to like what's changed, right? Because a lot has changed over the last 2 years. I mean, collections have changed, goals have changed, thought processes have changed, and a lot of that is via either experiences or just learning and having conversations with people who have kind of gone through like a lot of things that you've gone through or taken like a similar path or made these mistakes, and now you have the opportunity to kind of stand on their shoulders and learn from their mistakes. And so yeah, I'm definitely going to go back and check that one out.
I have to admit, and I'm a little bit ashamed to admit, because I feel bad, because I know that coming on a show can be daunting to a lot of people, or a great opportunity to get their brand out. I take a little bit of pride in having people on that maybe others haven't heard of, and I do like to chase the big names. I get super focused on a show and I do it, and then it's like it's done, it's gone, and it's on to the next show. It's on to the next guest the next day. So sometimes I remember who's been on the show, and I'll remember certain details about the person. But if you ask me, you were saying you didn't remember what we talked about. I had no idea what we talked about. I don't know. I mean, I knew we had talked about you were from Gainesville, and I watched the show. I've forgotten all about you were from Valdosta, which is where my dad's family, like the Shiras are from Valdosta. That's where we claim is home. So like, anyway, it's fun to go watch those back. Do you ever watch your shows back, or when they're done, they're done? Well, what's your take on that?
So 90% of the time when they're done, they're done. Just because, I don't know, same really kind of dynamic as you just really explained there, in terms of like, once you get you prepare for the show, you do the show, and then once you do the show, for you, it's on to the next show. And so there are some shows that I go back and listen to, and I've been trying to make more of a focused, concerted effort to do it more often now, because like I feel like I can critique myself. Part of the reason that I didn't want to do it at first is because I critique myself. But now at this point in like where I am, I kind of want to critique myself a little bit, right? Because I can give myself some credit. Before, again, I was kind of always in my head. And so I felt like critiquing myself probably at that stage probably wouldn't have paid as many dividends as critiquing myself now. And so like now I feel like I've got a little bit more confidence with the show, a little bit more experience under my belt, so I can kind of look at it with like a sharper eye and like really get at it without feeling like I'm judging myself, if that makes a whole lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And it also speaks to the point I always tell people, ask, how do I start a YouTube channel, or should I start a podcast, or should I, to your point, who's going to want to listen to me? And I just tell people, just go. The reps are going to make you better. Get in and do the reps. Figure out how to talk into a mic. Figure out how you want your lighting back there. Figure out, I still, like you say, I critique things. I'm still looking at it and I'm like, man, I got that nice bright spot on the wall back there, right over my shoulder. I should have a logo, like right where my palm is should be a logo. Yeah. And I'm sitting here critiquing it. I'm like, boom, yeah, I need it right there, So it is the idea of constant improvement. And again, like I was saying, just getting going and getting, I don't think people are going to get better at something being paralyzed and afraid to start. They got to start. They got to jump out there. And I've told people many times, the best thing about the internet or YouTube, if you suck, you can delete it, throw it away. It's gone. It doesn't exist. I mean, sure, somebody could record it and hold it against you one day or whatever, but not really. I mean, the fact is, very few people give a crap what you're doing. Like nobody watched my first episodes. There's no fear because nobody's there. And I'm going through, I actually was going to mention it a couple shows ago, and I was like, no, I got Mike coming up. I'll mention it when Mike's on. I wish I had done it sooner. One thing that you've done that I haven't done is put your show out to podcast platforms. And I haven't done that. All right, well, hang on. We got $20 pauses the show here. We got this is Jason, who is a Patreon member, so that's another good reason. Jason says, Mike, is that a Shure microphone? What mistakes and things did you learn about equipment and lighting in the beginning and along the way? And by your second year? Congrats, by the way. If it's okay, I have a whole segment of questions around equipment for tonight. Jason, if it's okay, I thank you so much for the kind donation. If it's okay, let's put that on hold for just a second, and we'll come back to it. I got a whole segment for that. I'd rather not bounce around if that's okay. But I promise we're going to get to that actually probably right away in just a second. I have been going through the process of getting audio files of all my episodes. I think I'm up to like, it's funny too, because I never numbered my episodes. I didn't know how many I had. I think I have 155 is what the videos are.
Oh, wow.
There.
Nice.
So thank you. So I'm going through and I got to get all the audio of 155 episodes. And I go back and listen to the first one and I was like, man, I was trying so hard. Like, just be yourself. Like, like I was like so rigid and so like, I don't know if other people can hear it, but no, like obviously I know myself very well. And I'm like, man, you are laying it on thick there, Adam. Like so I hope for myself, I've let my guard down and I've been like, my brand is to be transparent. Hey, another $5. We will feed some snakes. Thank you, Jason.
Nice.
So my brand is to be transparent, but I didn't realize like what a sort of like, I wouldn't say it was an act because my brand has always been, hey, this is my journey to learn. But man, I was like, I was talking about myself and the we. I was like, we're doing this tonight. I'm like, this is episode 2. Who are you yelling to, man? It was so good.
So if it makes you feel any better, like the other people listening don't judge you as harshly as you judge yourself. That's
I
one
know.
thing you had to get used to as well. But yeah, it is weird. Like you really try like super, super hard. And because you're like, for me, at least I can speak for myself. Like I was trying to be a performer and trying to be a performer doesn't really work. It's just get out there, do what you do naturally, and then hone those skills. And it turns out it sounds better, it flows better, you feel more comfortable, you're more fluid with your conversations. Like everything is just a lot more natural, and so it ends up being like a good performance with you just being yourself.
And it does come from practice and getting those reps, because you're going to find there's some things that are myself that just don't work. I'm just an odd dude sometimes, and I'm like, okay, let's put those away. Let's get rid of that. Because I found that vending too. There's times where I'm vending and I'm like, I am crashing and burning right here in front of this person. They're about to walk off. It's like, I mean, I've been married for 12 years, but it's like when I was used to hit on girls. I'm like, this is a disaster right here. This is no good, man. So yeah. So start, folks. That's what I'm saying. Have your glory days of just crashing, burning, going down in flames, and you're going to find what works, and you're going to get more and more comfortable, and you're going to have fun with it, and kick back and look back one day, 2 years down the line,
Yeah, fun is definitely a key. Like you, I've been married for like a long, long time, but I remember like way before like I even met my wife, before I was married, and I was working at Texas Roadhouse at the time. The district manager, he told like me and some of my homies, he was like, don't go out trying to get girls, just go out, have fun, and you'll get girls. And like those were words to live by.
It's the truest advice ever. The time, as soon as you quit worrying about it, is right when good stuff happens. And I will say, and I've said it before, but I never know who's listening or who's heard it before. What people don't realize is with YouTube, you have Google on your side. Google's job, the whole way that YouTube stays in existence and keeps the lights on, is finding people that are interested in you. YouTube's not going to encourage you to keep going if its machinery doesn't think that it can find people who are going to watch your show or watch your product or your content, and they're going to tell you what's good and what needs to change. So like, how much do you watch your metrics and watch hours, and do you look at that when you're considering your show or show prep at all?
I probably should more. I used to look at it a lot more before I got monetized, because it was like the countdown to
right. Yeah. How do I get there? Yeah.
Get monetized. After I got monetized, I stopped paying attention to it as much. I do need to do better in that space, I think.
I still am driven by trying to, and I got to be careful how I put this. I want subscribers. I want to grow my channel, but I want to grow the channel with the right audience. I don't just want clicks and clickbait. I'm not going to post pictures of a cobra eating a rabbit so that people will watch and it'll go viral. It has nothing to do with what I do. It has nothing to do with proper royals. I'm not going to do that.
You hating on the video that I posted earlier today? Dang it,
man.
man.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I forgot that was yours. So I want the right viewers, and I do have a big section also on total business model, but it helps my business model to have a farther reach with people that I know are either enthusiasts or ball python owners or ball python breeders. It helps with advertising. It helps with the overall money and the business model. So I do still look at metrics quite a lot. And I look at, okay, the show performed really well. And they don't tell you why it performed well. You still got to go figure it out for yourself. And sometimes it's easy. If I have Bob Vu on, it's going to perform well. Bob brings people. I can't, there's no other way to put it. On the other hand, I look at shows like you and I are doing, or somebody that maybe doesn't even have a presence like you have, and I see that do well, or I see us sitting at, right at 50. I bet in the next 10, 15 minutes, we'll be close to 60. That's usually how the curve of the night goes. I just happen to know it statistically. So if it's above that, I'll look at that. If it's below that, I'll go, what did I do? And it's not about the guest. It's about how did I carry the content? Maybe I didn't do enough show prep, all of those things. So I work at that stuff a lot. That drives me a little bit crazy sometimes. And maybe it shouldn't. Maybe I just need to take your district manager's advice and just come hang out, While we're still on just the general podcast topics, to you, and I think this is different for every host or every showrunner, to you, what makes a great guest for you on your show?
For me, I'd say someone that's easy to talk with, because some guests are easier to talk to than others, as I'm sure you've experienced because you've had a ton of folks on your show. And so some folks are just kind of naturally easier to talk to. Like they converse with you, they go back and forth. You guys kind of like get in a groove, you get in a rhythm. There's energy there's charisma, there's just all the kind of like things that you need to kind of keep the conversation going back and forth, making it interesting. The harder ones are sometimes you do have to work harder, and I kind of see it as a challenge, right? And so it's like not a judgment on any guest. It's just when guests don't talk as much and they're not willing to share, at least not initially, you kind of got to work harder, right? So you got to dig a little bit deeper in your toolkit and figure out, because like if you think everything's a nail, then the only tool that you need is a hammer. But maybe for this particular job, maybe you need your screwdriver, maybe you need your socket wrench. So you got to dig into that toolkit, figure out what you need to kind of pull that out. And sometimes I do better than others. I'm not gonna lie, but that's part of like something that I'm trying to cultivate within myself, is how can I be a better host, great host, and get great conversation out my guests regardless of their personality type. Like I want to maximize it, right? So everyone's probably got like, they've got like a range, I would say, right? I want to maximize their range wherever their range is, right? I don't want to be on anyone's kind of like lower edge of the range, if that makes sense.
Of their comfortability and what they're wanting to share.
But like your kind of quote unquote charisma scale, if I wanted to name it.
Keith's probably heard me say this before, but he nailed it. Yeah, I would much rather have a conversation than an interview. I've had some guests that are like, well, can you send me the questions you're going to ask me? And I'm like, no, I don't know them. We're going to hang out. And I do have topics, and I do a show prep where like, okay, because I always fear dead air. Dead awkward air is just the death, right? Like it is just nails on a chalkboard for me. So like I've got my backup, like, okay, if I got to go there, if I need something to keep it rolling, I've got it here. But otherwise, I got my 4 bullet points. I'm going to throw that chum in the water and we're going to see what happens. And yeah, there's nights where people just want to give yes or no answers or go like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, now kind of like, I got the platform, I got the audience. Here's your time to shine if you want it. But I can't want it more than I can. I'll want it even more than you want it. But at some point, I can't drag the whole thing along,
Help me help you.
That's right.
Yeah. At the very beginning, like my whole show was scripted out. Like I had like questions that had them in sections, and like I had every question written out, and I'd be trying to like read it and do like that. But that really doesn't work. I have topics, I have specific things that I want to hit on. Like you have got bullet points and like points that I want to make, and sometimes I get to it, sometimes I don't. I feel like some of the better episodes are the episodes where I don't get to half the stuff that I'm talking about, because the conversation was like just so natural. It just went like so fluently that I really didn't even have to refer to my notes, and maybe something that I wanted to talk about anyway kind of made its way into conversation naturally. But I don't do like the full scripted episodes like I used to do. I quit that fairly early. I used to send them to people too, and like people would say something like, "Oh, this wasn't a question that was on your list." Like during the show, like
you're like, "Help me here, man! Come on." Keep the backstage behind the curtain, man. Help me out here. Yeah, I think maybe it was when I was on your show, but somebody had sent me some questions, and one of my, I wouldn't say faults, but for lack of a better word, maybe it's a fault. Man, I will ramble on and I will overthink something too much. So somebody puts 20 questions in front of me, especially about myself. I'm like, well, there's this, and then some days I feel like this, and then maybe it could be like this, and the poor person is like, I don't know. I just asked if you like pastel or not, man. I don't know. You know? One other selfish question, because I am searching right now, or finalizing the search. Tell me, we talked about it briefly on the audio platforms, and like a true traditional podcast, which would be audio only, that somebody would download and play back. What platforms do you use? What benefits do you see to doing that versus just keeping it, say like I have, like on YouTube and on YouTube replays in the YouTube library?
It's just another avenue that you can get your stuff out there. I started doing it probably about a year, maybe a little bit longer ago. When I first started it, it was like Anchor or something like that. But then like they got bought out by Spotify, and so now
I say that's Spotify now.
Spotify for podcasters. Yeah. And so for me, I don't even do a lot of prep work. In fact, I really don't do any prep work. I just download the raw audio file and I upload it to the podcasting platform or to the upload site, just in its form. I don't do any editing. I don't do anything. It's just like whatever you would have seen on YouTube, that's what you get on the audio only version. Can I go through and edit? I probably could, but I just don't. I just upload it. It's a fairly efficient process for me. But in terms of like your initial question, what does it get? It's another avenue. I've had people like mention, hey, I found your show like on like Spotify, or I found your show on Apple Podcasts, and then I start seeing you on YouTube, and so like now I know who you are, and like they'll introduce themselves to me like when they see me in public. I was in Texas Roadhouse the other day, and like this was the first time this ever happened to me. Like it was in a non-reptile environment where a guy was like, "You're on YouTube."
Yeah. Who are you talking? Who's there? Who's behind me?
And so like it's just another way to just like get your name out there. And so like for me, like I'm going to try to use as many options as possible to get the show out there, get listenership. A lot of overseas listeners and stuff like that. Sometimes when I'm like searching and doing like research on like guests or stuff like that, like I might see my podcast pop up and it's like some UK podcasting site, and so it's just like crazy, like the kind of like reach that you get.
It's unbelievable. Like in our, you and I are about the same age, I think. In our lifetimes, I don't know about you, I used to buy Nintendo games from the paper newspaper classified ads. Like I would look with my allowance money and be like, oh, Zelda's on, I could, whatever, I could go buy that. And now I could sit here with a laptop, and to your point, we're worldwide, man. Sorry, my microphone has, talking about equipment, is falling down. Anyway, it's amazing the literal worldwide reach that we can have when, like I say, like a literal classified ad in my lifetime. I tell my son when I went to UF in '98, we didn't have Google. It wasn't like I had to be flipping pages. There was no citation. If I gave a citation from the internet, that wasn't going to cut it in my classes in those days. I was like, it's crazy. So
yeah, it's a whole different world, man. Like we're in like one of those good generations because like we were young when like things were the way they used to be. And then we seen like all of this, like all these technological advancements over the last 10, 20 years. And it's just nuts. Like it's just,
yeah,
technology has just been exponential. It's wild.
I think that's a neat thing. Yeah. That what is it? They say the end of Gen X got to see like, and actually grow up without internet and like golden age of 80s sitcoms all the way through the explosion of, by 2020 or by 2003, just to go back to the history stuff, every citation I was giving was off the internet. That was just in a 5-year span at UF. Yeah. It all changed, it's crazy town. One thing I think I've noticed, and you might have changed some, I regret to admit, I haven't seen a recent episode, but I think you've steered clear of sponsors and that path of monetization. Is that still accurate? Are you still, do you have sponsors or not?
Yeah, I've just capped it at 4.
You have? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So my sponsors are Small Town Exotics and Ancestral Royal Pythons, Reptiles, and Armless Angels. Cool. And so I capped it at 4 because of the way that I do my sponsorship videos. Like they're 30-second, like legit commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And so I intentionally capped it at 4 because I don't want to like take up too much time, if that makes sense.
No, it makes great sense. Mine, I'm fortunate and lucky. Actually, I had a sales call today with somebody. Mine are full. That's it. It starts to dilute the message. It's too much. And I do it. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it here in just a second, but I do it in one straight stretch. I try and keep the whole thing under about, 2 minutes. I figure a 2-minute commercial break is what most people are used to dealing with. Right. And I try and give them a presence, but I'm upfront about that. And it's a fine balance because it feels like a final payoff for the hard work. Okay, now somebody recognizes the value. They're willing to write a check or trade a service or however we work things out. The flip side is the last thing I want to be known as is a NASCAR of a platform or a billboard. And secondly, like this is people's hard-earned money or hard-earned goods or whatever they're compensating me with. And I was telling that person today on the sales call, like, I know how hard I've worked in my life for the amount of money I'm going to ask somebody for a 1-year sponsorship. So I got to make sure that there's value there. And so that was something that I always try and balance. But I think doing the audio reach and the podcast platforms, especially with the library I have now, is going to bring more and more value as well to those sponsors. So no time like the present. Let me pay some bills here real quick, Mike. You're welcome to chime in if you know any of the folks as well. So, guys, Redline shipping, I talked about them a little bit earlier. Check out Project Redline this spring. Everybody will have their patches. The bags will be out. I know this is sort of unofficially set to kick off at Tinley. Hit me up if you want one of the patches. In the meantime, check out Redline shipping for your shipping needs. Robin has disrupted the shipping industry for reptiles. I don't know what the numbers say, but I truly believe the experience is number one. The pricing is amazing, and you can get even better pricing by using the promo code PROPER5. Check out the interface for the customers and check out the customer service team. They're going to help you know when to ship, how to ship it, and they're going to be with you the whole way. It's really a concierge service. It's really, really great. So go check it out. Charlie at shedtesting.com. That's Charlie from Gray Rider Reptiles. You probably recognize him. He's been around the industry. Talk about disruptors, man. This guy went and figured out, and not just figured out, he studied, he worked his butt off to learn how to offer a shed testing alternative. That is shedtesting.com. And let me be very, very clear. Charlie is getting new shed tests nearly daily. He has partnered with labs where he can map out the genetics. I'm making up words now. He can map out the genetics to use them as he needs to give you accurate shed tests across the board. So the new website will be rolling out shortly. Check with him. If you see what you're looking for is not offered, check with him. He might have it. He might be able to do it. I know that he's collecting a library of genetic maps so that he can offer these expanded shed tests. That is coming. Mark my words on that. I know for sure in the pipeline, he's got genes like Puzzle is coming down the pipeline. So go check him out. Shedtesting.com. If you use the promo code, I lose track of these codes. My apologies. Proper 15. You're going to get 15% off of 2 orders. I don't want to encourage any particular behavior, but if it says orders, that means to me you could probably drop a couple extra sheds in there, or more than one shed is what I'm saying for your discount. So give them a shot. The service is phenomenal. Brandon Nixon. That's Brandon at Nixon Reptiles out in Maryland. Just remember, Brandon's working with the orange genes. You see the logo, the big bright orange spot. It's brilliant how simple and effective it is. I'm jealous of things like that. He's working Sunset, Ultramel, Monarch, and Hypo projects with a variety of quality codominants in there. Great dude, incredibly knowledgeable. Check out his Instagram, super high quality videos, pictures, all of that stuff. Great content, great guy. Portuguese pythons, that's Danny and Renee Rocha out in Chino, out in Chino, California. Inland Empire, just east of LA. They were just out at the Pomona show. They had a great show there. They also have patches for the REDLINE project. So go check them out. Very, very recently, and I talked to Danny this week. He says, Adam, you got to tell people about this clutch. I said, are they available? He says, tell people about them. They're available. I said, okay. Check out the clutch that they just posted on Instagram. It is a super blackhead Ultramel clutch. Super blackhead Ultramel. Got a nice ring to it. Check it out. Trevor at Ball Labs, Aurora, Colorado. Trevor has been keeping reptiles for 20 years and breeding ball pythons for over 15 years. Puzzle, Ultramel, Clown, VPI Xanthic, Tri-Stripe projects that he's working. Really quick, funny story. When I first met Trevor, he says, Adam, I'm working with Monsoon, Zebra, and Sunset. So, okay, cool. That'll turn people's heads. He called me about 4 days later. He goes, you know what? I don't want people to think that I don't have something for them. Tell them about Puzzle, Ultramel, Clown, VPI Xanthic, and Tri-Stripe. So go check out Trevor at Ball Labs. Last but not least is Chris at B and S Reptilia. I was watching that show with Mike nearly 2 years ago, and there was one logo on the screen. It was Chris at B and S Reptilia. Here he is, still here and now. Tells you the strength of our relationship, the strength of the trust that I have in him to take care of the customers that I send his way, and vice versa. I'm truly thankful for Chris. He's a great partner. He's my vending partner at Tinley. He won't be there this March, but I bet he'll be back in October. And I'm just thankful to work with Chris. Super knowledgeable, working with ball pythons, blood pythons, locality, boas, a variety of Morelia, a variety of colubrids, a variety of Pituophis. Listen to all the words that I'm learning. I don't even know what some of these mean, but if you do, you should go check out what Chris has going on. He's also the distributor of the Chipper Cocoa in Pennsylvania area. Even if you're not in the area and you're interested in the Chipper and Cocoa to go, give him a call. He could probably help you out or point you in the right direction. Thank you all. 44 out of 47 of you all stuck through that. I'm very grateful because those are the people that make this possible and make it make sense that 156 episodes now to keep doing this and to bring this content that you got tonight. So we're hanging out with Mike from Herp Collectors and Clutch Conversations podcast. Mike, are you up for talking some equipment and getting real nerdy on the podcast and get the logistics of it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Jason earlier had a question. He asked very specifically about the brand of Mike. Is it a Shure? But take us through some of your equipment, and I'm gonna jump in after you and give you my take on, or give the audience my take. And we might have a little spectrum there, and I'd love for people to see the different ways that you can approach things. So take us away on your setup and what it takes for you to get your podcast going.
Yeah. So, as far as getting into all the technical stuff, I don't know if I'm the best person, but I'll give you what I got. Right. So, to answer Jason's question, yes, this is a Shure microphone. It's the SM7B microphone. It's the one that you see like a lot of folks with. I got this probably about a year and a half or so ago. I can't even remember at this point, but yeah, so it's this one. I've got a Gator Frameworks boom arm that it's attached to. It just kind of clamps onto the desk here. So I've got that. I've got a Rodecaster Pro interface here. And so like everything's ran through that interface, and that interface hooks up to the computer via USB-C. And so it all kind of feeds through there. Camera wise, so I got my laptop. It's just what is it? Name brand wise, HP laptop. And I've got a Logitech Brio webcam. I've got like a Canon cam that I can use, and I can like hook it up through like this cam link. But to be honest, I like the Logitech better, and it's easier to like set up on the fly and stuff like that. And so I just been rocking with the Logitech Brio. That's it equipment wise. As far as like audio video, well, I guess maybe the lights. And so I got like some lights that they're like the ones that you can change to like whatever color you want to change it to. And so like I got a couple of those lights on either side of me here, and then I've got like a big kind of like studio light in front of me to like give me some light, and that's why you see like that light back there.
Oh, gotcha. So that lighter spot on the black background is coming. That's not on the background. That's from lighting.
That's from lighting. Yeah.
Gotcha. So I use those of y'all that don't know, Shure microphones are like the music industry standard. I still joke. You can watch the Rolling Stones perform, and they use a Shure SM58. And an SM58 is exactly the mic that I have in my bag. And I bought that microphone. Actually, speaking of buying things from the classified, I bought that from the Independent Florida Alligator classified section in 1998.
Nice.
And I bought it used. For years, I carried a backup mic when I was out touring and playing gigs. I never once plugged in the backup. I couldn't tell you where my backup mic is. So for 16 years, I've used the SM58. Anyway, Shure products are fantastic. All that being said, I had this studio condenser mic in my music studio setup, and it's actually a cheap one. I don't even know the name brand of it. A Audio Technica, I think. It's probably a $35 mic. So I use that. I use Focusrite is the brand. I can't really show it. It's an interface that the microphone plugs into it, and then there's volume levels that you can tweak, and there's a thing called gain, which is different than volume, and then also it controls my headphones and what I hear, so I can turn things up louder or softer. I like the Focusrite because it has the color coordinated peaks. So if I see it turn orange, I know that it's either too close to my face or it's too sensitive, and I need to turn it down so it keeps the distortion away from it. That plugs into my Mac. I use a Mac. I am in love with Mac. I'm all in on Apple. I wasn't, man. I fought it forever. You talk about like the fight that I just was up against, and I finally, my boss one day, he was like, "I got one. You can have it if you want for work. We could buy it for you." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's a whole new world." So anyway,
were you with the Mac over a PC?
So I like the intuitiveness of it, and I like Apple products seem to click with me from a user intuitiveness standpoint. So there's that. That's a personal choice. Apple's engagement with the iPhone, I can send video from my phone to my computer with a snap on AirDrop. I can edit it in iMovie, which is a fantastic editing product for me. I'm not making movies but to get by and make YouTube videos, it's fantastic. It's simple enough that I don't get bogged down in the 99 things I could do. I just get down to business and do it. And I can have it right back on my phone for Instagram reels. So the connectivity of it, my to-do lists are in here and they immediately populate on my Mac. All of that stuff is I love that stuff. So, workflow and efficiency wise, it's a whole new world with my iPhone. And I've only had an iPhone for maybe a year and a half. I think like I say, I fought the Apple fight for a long time. And now, I'm an evangelist now, man. I've been converted. So, the last thing I do use a Canon camera, and I do use the HDMI output connected to the computer. You are right though. The clunky setup. If I was doing on-site filming with that camera and then I had to reset it up every week, I'd either buy a second one or I'd buy a webcam like you're talking about. I wouldn't reset it up every week. The other thing is that their connections are pretty flimsy. I'm really disappointed. It's my only disappointment with it, that a cost and a brand quality like Canon has such a crappy connectivity for the HDMI output. It's one of those things. They should either do it right or they shouldn't have it on there. So I literally tape down the connections to my desk because if it moves, if it jiggles, it's gone. We're done. So I don't like those things about it. But otherwise, that's the setup that I use. What software do you use when you're hosting your show, Clutch Conversations? What platform are you podcasting through?
StreamYard.
Yeah, that's the same that I use here. They have a free level that I used for a long time. You just stuck with the StreamYard logo up in the corner. Good way to learn the ropes, get your chops up, and then pay for the other professional level. The professional one, you get the logos, the backgrounds, all of that stuff. So you have a lot more control over it. And then
I looked at
go ahead.
Jump in real quick. I looked at, I think it's called EV Mux is how you pronounce it, maybe. Or
I'm not familiar with that one.
There's another one, and it's got like more functionality in StreamYard, or at least it did at the time. StreamYard's upgraded like a lot of things since like I last looked at this other product. But even in like StreamYard's like current format, I think that software has more options. But for what I was doing, I didn't need all those options and I didn't need all that complexity. And so I just kind of like kept it simple because StreamYard does exactly what I needed to do.
Yeah, I find that that's a real value in life now where I mean, just in general, I just want what I need. And sometimes I don't know what I need. So sure, throw some new things and features at me. But by and large, I don't need 200 features, man. I need to, what's the expression in sports that's real hot right now? Keep the main thing, man. I need to keep the main thing. And the main thing is the content. So that's what's got to get out there. I was going to say, I don't need the bells and whistles. You have bells and whistles. What do you got over there? Hit me with something, man. Well, right over there, your left hand there. So is that that's in the Rodecaster? Where's that coming from?
It's in the Rodecaster. Like it comes with some pre-programmed like sounds, but you can upload your own. And I'd plan to do like a lot more with it, but I haven't done as much as I can do with it. But eventually I'll start doing more with it. Like I said, it comes with all those like preloaded sounds, and all those sounds are preloaded with the exception of the air horn. Like I changed the air horns in it because I liked that was in it because I liked my air horn better. And so like I replaced the air with the other air horn. But you can upload all kinds of stuff, and I've just been kind of like brainstorming, thinking of some things that I can do, like some creative things that I can do with the show, and kind of like use that functionality because that was the reason I got it, not just because it sounds, but the Rodecaster's got like a lot of functionality that I just really need to leverage. That way, I'm making sure I get my bang for my buck.
I was going to say now the Rodecaster's not cheap, but and I don't have one. I've not messed with it much. Can you like? Say you and I were going to compare graphics. Oh, or we were gonna pick apart how we like a snake or not. It's a little clunky on StreamYard to go through picking those things up, and I haven't practiced a lot at it. Does the Rodecaster give you like a quick let's preset these things, touch it, and boom, it's up? Or how does that work? Does it? What other things does it offer for you?
It's more focused on the audio. So as far as like showing pictures and stuff like that, then at least based on my understanding of the functionality, there's not like a easy way to do that with the Rodecaster. It's all audio based. So it's like mixing down. There's sounds on there. There's different ways to bring in like sound from multiple sources. I can Bluetooth, and I can connect my phone to the Bluetooth and really do the podcast like from my phone if I wanted to, or have like someone call in like I did with Joe Exotic. Like that was like via like Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's a lifesaver then. Yeah,
I could talk to him on the phone, and it would broadcast through there. Now the connection was terrible with that, but in theory that should have worked and been like a lot more crisp than what it was.
Gotcha. Okay, and I would think too, like for you and I, that's mostly web-based with our guests. I actually have never. I did one with Taylor. I did one in-person guest. But in general, I'm always web-based with the guests. But in studio, that Rodecaster would help as well. You could have different channels, different inputs, and you could mix it right there. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
And it's bigger than some of the interfaces. Like in some ways, I wish I had a smaller interface, but it's definitely still portable. And so if I ever did something like in person, like if I wanted to go to like a Daytona is probably a bad example because the internet connection sucks in Daytona.
I have learned firsthand.
Maybe somewhere that's in the 21st century with their internet, you could do a show like on site, and then you can kind of like feed the microphones from all the different spots. There's like 4 connections on it, and so like that's an option as well.
Yeah, I don't know even if you know Steven from Leviathan Snake set he had set up a live broadcast for Proper Royals Live, and we were gonna we had,
but the internet was terrible. I remember.
Oh, it's terrible. We just crashed and burned right on site, just live in front of everybody. I was like, okay, we're gonna hang it up and goodbye. This has been great. So I felt terrible for Elizabeth from US Arc. It was when we were interviewing her. I was like, this isn't going well. So anyhow, we had to hang it up. Right? What's that?
It was that Friday at like 7 or something like that,
I
right?
think it was Saturday. I think it was the first. No, because the auction would have been that night. Yeah, it had to be Friday. Yeah, it was when everybody's checking in and setting up. Yeah.
Yeah, because I came down there like 10 or 15 minutes after it was supposed to start, and y'all were already done.
Well, and I felt horrible for Steven, man. If there's anybody who doesn't do anything, excuse the language, but half-assed, man, it looked like a newsroom in there. I mean, he had his lights, he had I'm not talking a ring light, like the big lights that look like airbags out of a car, Okay, all right. And he's like, no, you need to look this way. Pull your left shoulder back. I'm like, okay. So it was speaking of equipment, my boom stand has these Allen wrench tighteners, and I've never tightened it, and now I need to. It's like keeps dropping down, so that's why I'm awkwardly adjusting this thing.
Okay, all this stuff top notch.
Oh my gosh, it's difficult to keep up with him when he gets going because he's so passionate and knowledgeable about it. Man, camera and film is his thing. I mean, he's got a couple things, but that's one of them, man. And he does it right. It's great to work with him, man. But I was like, and it was so funny because I said, what do you need me to bring? He goes, no, I got everything. And I said, okay. I said, well, if you need me to bring anything, I'll bring it. And he goes, you know what? He goes, you're a musician. Do you have a XLR cable? I was like, XLR cable? I got 42 XLR cables. What do you need? 30 foot, 10 foot, 8 foot? He's like, I don't know. Bring like a 30-foot one so I don't have to worry about it. And I was like, all right, cool. I have one job, man. What do I not bring?
You didn't bring
that? And he was like, I thought you had it, Adam. And I was like, yeah, you're not wrong, man. And he's like, all right. But then it was something funny, like, well, I guess we're only going to go with 4 microphones then tonight. I was like, oh, only. Okay. Well, all right. Darn it. I guess But yeah, the moral of the story, don't ask me to bring an XLR cable when I literally have, I don't know how many I have plenty. So, all right. So we talked about the equipment. We talked about the software, creating it. You make the podcast, you have your show. Then where do you take it from there? What's the next step in the workflow process from there?
Yeah. So after the show's over, I generally like chat with the guests a little bit after the show.
Yeah.
And so while we're chatting, like I'm like simultaneously downloading the audio file. That way, once I get done chatting with the guest, just throw it right up there on the website.
Gotcha. So you do it. Yeah, you do it right that night, not even in the morning.
Yep. Because if I wait until like in the morning becomes in 3 mornings.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's why I have my shoot. I have just all my daily tasks are programmed in here, man. I don't think about anything anymore. If it ain't on my tasks, it's probably not getting done, man. If
Yeah,
I
like
tell you I'm bringing an XLR cable, you better see me put it in my phone, or it ain't happening, man.
Yeah, I have to go ahead and knock it out. Otherwise, like it'll get away from me. Like, I mean, you know how life is.
Yep.
Like there's so many other things you got to do, right? And so if it's outside of that normal workflow, then it might be a minute before I get back around to it. So I just try to get it knocked out and be done with it.
Gotcha. And you send, and dogs are barking at something upstairs. And then you send it over to, I like to say, I think you said it's called, I know Spotify owns it, but I think it's called Spotify for Podcasters now.
Yeah, Spotify for Podcasters. And so like setting up Spotify for Podcasters, like it takes a little bit at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to go through, you got to first you got to set up your RSS link. And so like you get all that set up, you put in all like your podcast information, things of that nature.
Hang on a second. Because I had to ask somebody about 4 weeks ago what an RSS link was, and they laughed at me a little bit and they said I was cute. But then they told me, so what is this? Like, it can be intimidating. Like, I know there's somebody out there going, man, I want to do this. And if Adam and Mike can do it, I'm going to figure it out. What's this RSS link thing?
It's just basically a link to, and again, I'm no IT guy or like tech guru. So my explanation, someone who knows exactly what it is probably like,
I'm sorry. It was Jessica. She's like, yeah, you're cute, Adam. I know. That's okay. So Jessica told me I was cute when I asked what the RSS feed was.
But basically it's the link to your show. And so like you go on like these podcast hosting platforms and you can put your RSS link there. And so every time like you upload your podcast to like your main platform, for me, it's the Spotify for Podcasters, then that podcast is automatically fed to everywhere that I've put my RSS link, or maybe even some hosting platforms that have like other kind of like podcasts linked to their stuff, right? So I might put it on, in my A, it goes to B, and then by going to B, it might go to C, D, E as well. And so it's in like a ton of different places just by me uploading in that one spot and using that link.
Now, say I don't think I have an RSS link, or I don't know if I do.
You got to create it. You can create it through Spotify for Podcasters.
That's right. When you sign up for that, they're gonna walk you through that, right?
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's super easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's super easy. And I thought, because what kind of like made me not want to do it, right, is I want it to be like on all these different podcasting platforms, but I didn't want to like upload it to every single place every single week, because that was
you need the central distribution, right?
And so when I figured out that you can do that, it was a no-brainer.
Cool. And that service is free, is that correct?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're missing on that? Because there's some competitors, but they charge either by the download, or some of them charge a flat rate that's even higher. But they have some, and I don't know enough about it. I'm just starting to look into this myself. Any benefits that you see missing from this, the free one, that you're like, man, one of these days I got to upgrade, or what goes through your mind on that topic?
Not really. Nothing that really stands out to me, but to be completely transparent, I haven't looked at a lot of the competitors. That one was recommended to me, and so I just went with what was recommended to me. I didn't put a ton of thought into it, and as far as like comparing products across different vendors and comparing offerings, I just went with that one. And then when I saw how easy it was to set it up and get it going, I just stuck with it. Gotcha.
But okay, so there's no party that's like, man, I'm thinking about dropping $15 or $20 a month. It's you're in the places you want to be with it.
Yeah.
Do you
Jason just mentioned in the comments, I don't know if you saw it, but he said that he heard you on Clutch Conversations on Spotify. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. That's probably the only place on Spotify you can listen to Adam is on Herp Collectors Clutch Conversations. So yeah, Charlie's having fun now. That's why you calling me Adam. It's an incestuous little community. Everybody just goes from one show to another, and we try and find new ways to interview people. It's a little bit true, but do you get ad revenue and whatnot from? I mean, I know that Spotify's payouts are a joke anyhow, at least based on the music industry postings that I see. But is there any possibility for ad sales or benefits in that way, or do you mess with that at all?
I don't really mess with it because it's minimal.
Yeah,
like probably even worse than YouTube payout. And so I haven't really messed with it. Like I've got the monetization option, but I haven't looked into it too tough.
Yeah, I gotcha. I will tell, this is me, my opinion. You can chime in a minute if you like, or at the same time. The monetization of online content, in my opinion, barring getting millions upon millions of followers, is in being able to sell your own product or garnering sponsorships and advertising space that you can sell outright yourself. I'll be pretty transparent with it. I was joking to myself on Jason's fine contribution. Thank you again, Jason, earlier. I was doing the math because YouTube doesn't pay out until you hit $100 barrier. And if you don't hit it in 1 month, they make you wait till the next month to get it.
Yep.
Which I'm not waiting on the $100 to pay my bills or anything, but it's funny because I just chuckled to myself. I had happened to click on something and it was like, you're on your way. You're $85 away. And I mean, you're at $85. You're 15 away from a payout. And I was like, after they take their fees, nope, probably not going to make the payout this month. So my point of telling all that is a little bit funny, but
what we're saying is we need someone to drop like at least another $5 in.
I'm not begging. That's I mean, they're welcome to, but that's not the point. Yeah, it is. It's weird though. Some nights it gets going and other nights it doesn't. I mean, again, the value is in, for me, the value is in attracting eyes and growing my brand, selling ball pythons. I never went into business to have Google ads paying my bills. If they were to, fine, but that's not the case by far. The sponsors help quite a bit on paying bills. But again, the main thing is selling snakes. And okay,
there we go.
Charlie. There we go. Thank you, Charlie. I will recycle that in the form of future shed test purchases. I promise you. There we go. Pay out Adam. Thank you, man. Okay.
Hashtag pay out Adam.
There we go, man. No, I truly, I want my mission statement is to breed and sell quality, purposeful ball pythons. That's what I want to be doing. And that's my main thing. So, all right. Well, hey, thank you for taking us through all that, Mike. I know some of that was kind of tedious. I had a couple. There's such cheese. All right, Jason, we're going to have, well, you know, Mike and I are going to have a beer or two. And are you coming up to Tinley?
I'm not.
You're not? Okay.
I wanted to, and there was probably like a couple weeks where I went back and forth on it.
Yeah.
I did want to come up there, but like with everything that's kind of going on, I'm not going to have a chance to get away. I will be there in October, hopefully, though.
Cool. All right. Well, we got a little money in the beer account for one of the evenings then.
March Tinley is really, really hard for me to make historically, but I do plan on going in October.
Cool. That's cool. I've never been in March either, so this will be my first when I'm up there.
Nice.
Mike, we got a few more minutes without, I don't know, you can, I'll listen. It doesn't bother me, but maybe not without turning into a MBA lecture, but what's the total business model? Where does the podcast fit into the business model for you? Or is it, there's Keith coming. All right, the money's coming in now. We're going to go into overtime tonight, Mike, just so you know. I mean, this is how this is going to work now. What's the total like macro business model? Where does podcasting fit in on that? And how does that tie into the rest of what you have going on with, and I notice, and I know it's on purpose, I've noticed that you take care to brand Herp Collectors is there's the umbrella of Herp Collectors, but there's the product of Clutch Conversations as well. So talk a little bit about that as well. What's the big business model for Mike here?
Yeah, so you'll probably notice like a lot of recurring themes from when I first mentioned it earlier in the show in terms of like what our goals were. So as far as like how it fits into the overall kind of business strategy, business plan, like networking and collaboration, that's huge, right? Because it's an opportunity to sit down, have a conversation with a lot of really cool people, a lot of knowledgeable people, and really kind of get yourself and get your name out there. So networking is a huge one. Again, like I attribute a lot of my network to just having had the show and getting an opportunity to talk to people,
Absolutely.
meet
Yeah.
people, and things of that nature. So that's a huge benefit of it. And so that was a huge goal. And we've been doing really well in that regard. And we're going to continue to kind of like push that as well. And then just really like learning more, right? Because you get diverse perspectives from a number of other folks that you bring on the show. And so soaking up that knowledge helps you with your own operations, right? And you're like, hey, I remember such and such told me this, or I remember such and such told me that. Or you can go back to like your group, right? And talk about some of the things you learn and like bounce things and just having different perspectives and thinking about things in different ways. I'll always be in kind of like a learning mode. And that's just like with everything I do, regardless of if it's my profession, regardless of if it's this, I'm always going to be in a learning mode. And so getting those diverse perspectives is really valuable to me. And then it's also an opportunity to like develop and showcase my own expertise, right? And talk about what I've learned and hopefully share those lessons with other folks, and they can learn and maybe not make the same boneheaded mistake that I made or things of that nature.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead.
I think it's a fair point that I've heard people make the comments, why would you have a podcast if you're not the expert? Well, sometimes we could teach by what we've done well, but sometimes we could teach by what we've done poorly and what we shouldn't do. And then again, the third way, which is obvious, is we could bring a platform to people that do know and we can learn from them. So I think there's value in all of that. And I interrupted you. Keep going.
Oh, no, I was actually about to wrap it up. I was getting kind of long-winded there, but it's also an opportunity to kind of cross market, right? So you invite folks on your show, and then they can get exposed to your platform, your folks, and then vice versa, right? You can get exposed to their followers and stuff like that. So it's an opportunity to kind of like switch back and forth. So all of those, which like I said, I kind of touched on those earlier, but those are like the goals, and that's how it fits in my overall business strategy. It's funny because like to your point, I'm in the business of breeding ball pythons. And so I didn't get into the podcasting just strictly just to make money off the podcasting. Like I said, the podcast was all about like networking, fun, building relationships and stuff. But it's ironically, the podcast is in the green.
Right. It's yeah. You see an opportunity or a door open. Okay, there's opportunity through that door. It's there. But credit to you, Mike. It's from having a quality product that people want to be associated with. And that nugget right there is I think how people can make money in social media. It's not the clicks, it's not the follows, it's not the likes. All that stuff helps. It churns the thing, it gets it out to more eyes. But at the end of the day, it's got to be good content and it's got to be quality content. And you've done it, man. You found a way to cultivate that in your own style. And I think that should be the message to people. Figure out how to cultivate that quality content in your own style.
Absolutely.
Because I'll tell you too, and I've joked about it. You can put on a face, you can fake, you can have a persona, but not for 2 years, week in, week out, without fail, man. That gets old, man. That's like keeping up lies. That's like kids games, like lying to your parents, man. Remember how stressful that was. Like, you can't live life that way. You're not going to be successful.
It takes a lot of energy
way.
to do that.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. I'm too lazy to be that sneaky, you know. I'm not lazy, but in
Are
that
you
way
an
I am.
X-Men fan?
Am I a what?
Did you watch like the X-Men movies?
No, I actually, it is one of the few movies I've seen, but I don't recall it much at all.
Okay.
It's been 20 years since maybe that first one anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. So in one of the X-Men movies, and I don't remember which one it was, but I think it was one of the newer ones or relatively newer ones. But Professor X was talking to Mystique, and he asked why. She was just basically telling him how tiring it was to walk around with like someone else's like persona on her.
Okay, yeah.
Be another person. Like, it's so much easier for her just to like be herself, because it takes like less energy. But yeah. Like that really resonates a lot, right? And so it takes way less energy to be yourself. Just be yourself. Is everyone gonna like you? Hell no.
No, and get used to that.
Yeah, because everyone's not gonna like the fake you either. So
yeah,
you might be yourself.
That's true. That's a great way to put it, man. It's something I wouldn't say I've struggled with, but something I've really, really sought out in my life. And it's been freeing too. I've embraced it more and more. I've always been pretty fiercely independent, but like in my career, you know, for example, I'm in a lot of the places I worked, you know, I was wearing a suit and a bow tie. Like, there's not much farther from authentic Adam than a suit and a bow tie. But I did find ways to let out my own personality through it. And there's a difference between a uniform and who I am. And in a lot of ways, we do all wear our own masks. So sometimes it provides us cover, man. Like, I was able to say, I don't care if somebody likes me or not, because that ain't me. That's some other guy they don't like. So whoop-de-doo. But this, that it like is me personal, man, it hurts a lot more when somebody's just like losing it on me. And that takes a little skill too in the world of social media, where you're like, okay, I'm done here. I'm gonna move on. That's fine. There's no more of that, you know. Hey, speaking of breeding and selling ball pythons, where can people see animals that you have available? Are you vending these days? Where can they catch up with you on your animals?
Yeah, so not vending yet. I do plan to start vending later this year, and we'll try to catch some shows on probably the Florida Repticon circuit. I don't think I'll have like enough animals to justify Daytona, just because of the timing of my season. Like, a lot of my stuff hatches late, and so I highly doubt that I'll have a ton of stuff ready for Daytona. But definitely on Morph Market, obviously. So it's morphmarket.com/herpcollectors. You can find stuff there. You can always hit me up on IG. You can find me on Mike Johnson on Facebook. You can find us Herp Collectors on Facebook. We're on TikTok, but we're not really on TikTok.
It's like me. I get it, man.
I have a TikTok.
And you got very convenient. I was just telling a colleague about this today, that they should have, and I think everybody should have, if you have multiple platforms, is a LinkTree. And your LinkTree is down in the description. People can get to all those places that you just described. One click, it's all right there, a menu they can click through for all of your content.
Yeah, I appreciate you throwing that in there. And I always advise people, get you like a LinkTree or something that's like similar to LinkTree, because it makes it so much easier for guys like me and Adam. Because I don't want to leave any of your stuff out, but I really just want to grab the one link.
I'll tell you the other hack for it too, which I'm looking around here. Of course, I don't have one handy. The other hack for it is you can take your LinkTree address, turn that address into a QR code, and just put that on a business card. Then you don't ever have to update your business card graphics. You're just updating your LinkTree. I know there is a whole argument over whether business cards are even worthwhile or not anymore, but at shows, vending, I don't know if they ever look at them when they go home, but people certainly collect them and take them. So, but I use that LinkTree QR code on my banner too. So when I'm vending, the banner behind me, if somebody says, how do I pay you? Boom, hit that QR code right there. Then they see the whole menu of places they can go see me. So it like plants that seed. Exactly. Hey, I'm going to come back to this thing, but my Venmo is right on there too.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a ton of benefits to having that there.
Yeah, it is so easy. So, well, Mike, we're a little 95 minutes, man. I think we had one of those nights that kind of flew by. I have a ton on my list we didn't get to. I didn't even ask you about having booking guests and who you have on and Joe Exotic, man. We'd be a half hour on that. We'll do another segment on the next time on booking guests. There's a whole, like, I think anyway, a whole art and process and challenge to booking guests. And damn, if there's not always another Tuesday right around the corner, you know, and in your case, a Thursday, you know. So, hey, you'll come back soon though, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. We definitely got to get round 3 and definitely got to get you back on the show as well.
Oh yeah. We could do that on your show if you want. I mean, that's your show. You can do the show prep, but if you want, you can have that show prep piece. That's fine too. Whatever you want. All right. Mike, thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much. You're all very generous tonight. I appreciate it. But most importantly, I appreciate you hanging out. Check out the sponsors. Next week, I have Kyle Schrant from Kyle's Reptiles on the show. Same place, same time. Thank you all very, very much. Mike, thank you for being here. You get the last word, man. Take us home.
Yes, sir. I appreciate everyone who came out to support. Really, really appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for rocking with Adam. Thank y'all for rocking with myself. Really appreciate all the support. Be sure to check out Clutch Conversations. This Thursday is one of those rare instances when it's not at 8. It's going to be at 9 p.m. We've got Robbie from RGN Reptiles in the building.
Cool.
It's going to be a really dope show. Really looking forward to seeing everybody in the chat. Again, thank y'all for coming out.
See you guys.
Sir.
Thank you.